Welcome back to FM24. This is our Ipswich save in the 24-25 season update. Today is part 3 of our Premier League journey, and today we are going to be playing our 7th and 8th matches of the Premier League season against West Ham away from home at the London Stadium, and then we have a massive game. Can we get our first win of the season against the Saints at Portman Road? And looking at the schedule, we might well need it. If we don't beat Southampton, we then have a run of Manchester United, Chelsea and Arsenal, which means after 11 games, we might go winless. And with Everton and Liverpool in November as well, it could be very difficult for the rest of the season. For those of you who haven't watched those first 2 parts of the series yet, I recommend you go and do that. We've only played 1 game since then, and that was against Brighton in the 3rd round of the Cup. As I said in the last part, I wasn't particularly interested in the Carabao Cup. It was a competition and a distraction really that we could do without. We beat Charlton in the 2nd round, but that was a club that we thought we'd beat and would be a morale boost to go and beat them. If we'd have beaten Brighton, then great, but unfortunately we didn't. We took the time to experiment with a different system, which I'll talk about shortly. Unfortunately, it didn't really get us in the game all that much, although we did defend quite well. Brighton scored 2 goals in the 45th and 46th minute, which really finished it for us. But you can see we made some changes at half-time. Our XG was only 0.27 at half-time. Note that Brighton's as well was 1.43. At the end of the match, Brighton only very slightly added to that, although we went from 0.27 to 1.12. And that was down to a Nathan Broadhead goal. And a credit to Cameron Humphreys, who came in as a left midfielder, a player who can play there but not his natural position, and he played very well. We're playing a wing play system for this game against West Ham. I figured that we probably need more men up front. Connor Chaplin, or whoever is playing in that striker position, is a little bit isolated up there at the moment. So I figured that we'd have 2 forwards. We tried playing Connor Chaplin and Liam Delap in the previous match. Liam Delap had a really poor time of it. We brought Nathan Broadhead on at half-time for Delap, and Nathan Broadhead scored, hence why he's in today's side as a striker. We've also got George Hurst on the bench as well. Looking at the Premier League table, because there's already been some games today, we have seen Bournemouth go and lose a 7th consecutive game. They're having an absolutely dire time of it at the bottom, but that meant that our opponents in the following match, Southampton, got a win against them of 2-1. They got their first win of the season, and you can see that if we don't win one of today's 2 games, we do start to get cut adrift a little at the bottom. Bear in mind that Everton are playing Leicester as well on Monday night, so if Everton go and win that one and we don't win today, we could potentially be 3 points adrift of the bottom zone fairly early on. Forest are playing Fulham. I can't see them getting anything out of Fulham, but you simply never know. So a win is pivotal in one of today's 2 games. We hang our hopes mostly on the game against Southampton, but there is a possibility that we could get something out of West Ham. I'm doubting it because West Ham are playing well. They're a good side, but who knows? We might get a point at the London Stadium. If we can, then excellent. It seems that West Ham have changed their formation. Whether that's something that they've changed from the Cup, something they were experimenting with, who knows. They've gone from the 4-3-3 DM wide, which is the formation we were playing, to a 4-2-3-1. James Ward-Prowse in the side for West Ham, a player that in real life has gone to Nottingham Forest on loan. Again, I've said before in this series that Forest are my 2nd team in real life. And that is a jolly good signing for Forest. I really think it is. It will really boost Forest in midfield. They've got a good attacking setup, but in midfield they are struggling a little bit. So James Ward-Prowse is a player that I've always rated. And to be honest, when he was released by Southampton, I even said that he could have done a job for Liverpool, particularly with Jordan Henderson, Fabinho, James Milner, all going in that summer 1 year ago. The pundits think that West Ham have got enough to secure a win against us, and they could well be right in this game here at the London Stadium. We haven't had the best at all of possession, to be quite honest, in any game that we've had. Very nearly an early goal for Cameron Humphreys there, albeit he was offside from that part of play. And one thing that we really always don't want to do is go and concede an early goal. At least we kept Brighton out for the first half and defended well. But in the first 3 minutes here, the player that we mentioned, of course, it's fatal to mention a player when you play against them on Football Manager, because they'll always go and do something. James Ward-Prowse puts the corner in for Kurt Zuma, who converts and makes it 1-0 to the Hammers at home. And it looks like our miserly start to the Premier League is going to continue. We are more in this game, though, from a possession perspective. It's been very rare, and it might not last. It hasn't. that we've had 40+% of possession, but if we can keep that possession stat above 30%, that will probably be better than we've done in a fair few games this year. But if we're going to concede 2, which we have, but fortunately this second one has been ruled out for offside, then we are going to struggle. Both goals note from set pieces. This is going to VAR, so it might well still count. It has been disallowed for a clear offside against Jean-Claire Tetibo. Ward-Prowse again with the free kick, and it's actually the player in front. I wonder if, because Alvarez got the goal, Tedibo may be deemed to be impeding the goalkeeper again. We've had a couple of those this year, but we're going to have to go to a counter-attacking style of football, I think. It's clear that West Ham have got the better of us. However, against Brighton, we did seem to play a lot better when we came out and played a positive style of football. We're getting crucified here by set pieces from West Ham. Clearly a tactic that they're using to good effect, and Ward-Prowse and Kurt Zouma combine again to get a goal, and that is absolutely shocking from whoever's on the line there. That is Sam Morsey, who's had a poor start, to be fair, and does get back into the team today, but just hasn't adjusted to Premier League football at all so far. First chance for us, really. Chaplin gets met by Alphonse Iraola in the middle of the park. It looks like it's going to be another poor away day for us. It was a decent start for us, you know, against Manchester City. We kept them out. We only kept them to a 1-0 victory, and we had some positive ambition going into this season after that result. And again, some defeats that weren't all that bad, but West Ham have battered us today, and it's 3-0 at half-time. Yeah, we're in a real mess, and this isn't the best way to go into that Southampton game. Didn't expect anything at all today, but this really, I think, is where reality sets in this Premier League season. We haven't been beaten by this margin at all. It's a fine balance, of course, between attack and defence. We don't want to commit all our men forward and leave too much at the back. But if you are to score goals, then you have to commit men forward. We're going to get to half-time 3-0 down, and West Ham are fully in control of this game. And you can see our XG is absolutely abysmal. We've done absolutely nothing in this game. I'm going to say it's as good as over. Again, I've said before that there's no point pussyfooting around the players. I might make some changes at half-time, but this game is pretty much gone now. So unless there's any drama in the second half that I will bring you, there's no point showing any of the rest of the game. So I'll see you guys for the Southampton game. The Premier League dream is starting to become a nightmare. West Ham added to their 3-goal tally with a 4th in the second half at the London Stadium. That was our biggest defeat of the season so far. And things don't seem to be getting better. They seem to be getting worse, which makes today's match against Southampton absolutely massive. Forest went and beat Fulham at the weekend. Leicester and Everton both drew, which means whatever happens here, if we don't go and beat Southampton by 6-0, we're still going to be in the bottom 4 by the end of the day. But if we can pick up our first win of the season, at least we are still in touch with teams up to 13th on 6 points. You can see straight away that even after 7 or 8 games, there's a gulf developing between the bottom half and the top half. You've got 13th down on 6 points or below, and then Villa on 10, and up to 4th are on 13. So it's almost League 1 and League 2 here, that it's going to be a 8-horse race to go down. I think Everton will probably get out of it, given that they've been deducted 6 points. They kind of be in that middle ground on 8, so Everton aren't a team to really worry about, but we've got to get something out of this game against Southampton. Again, I will show the fixture list just as a reminder that after this game we've got Man United, Chelsea and Arsenal, so you can forget getting much out of those teams. I don't know if teams have survived before with 4 points after 10 games, but I would guess that teams haven't survived with 1 point after 10 games. We're going to revert back to type against Southampton today. I think that wing play experiment is done, because it just didn't work against West Ham whatsoever. The expected lineup with a couple of changes. We've put Townsend in at left back. Nothing against Leif Davies. He's been playing decently for us, but you can see his last 5 games haven't been great. Again, he's had a bit of a downturn in his performances. Connor Townsend, when he's been picked for us, has played well. So we're going to put him in the team for today. We've done away with Sam Morsey. He's going to sit he's not even going to be on the bench for today because I've been really disappointed with him. Jack Taylor comes in as a defensive midfielder. We've finally got Sammy Schmodics back. That's going to be big for us. He is fit for up to 75 minutes of action. Calvin Phillips as a supporting central midfielder. So that's our strongest midfield too, I think. Wes Burns and Nathan Broadhead are in attacking midfield. And we're going to go with George Hurst up front, a player that scored 2 goals, again, both against Charlton, but has done a decent job for us when he's been called upon. So, here we go for the game at Portman Road. It's great that this game is at home because we've had some difficult away days so far, and hopefully the fans can see that today's game is massive, and not that they don't give us support already, but we need even more support. Well, what do? I point the finger assertively. We'd expect nothing but a win from today's match, and I'm going to tell the players that we're expecting to see a good style of play today, a good, just a good standard really. Goals win games, yes. I don't want to end the interview. I should have just really told the assistant to deal with it. I do the interviews when I'm not commentating, but it's all a bit of a distraction when I'm commentating. So you've seen our team, Southampton. The style of football that they're going to play is the same as us in terms of a formation perspective. Southampton are 3 unbeaten. They're unchanged from their last game, so Southampton are starting to blend into this Premier League a little bit at the top of that bottom half of the Premier League. But today, something really needs to change. The reality will start to set in very quickly if we don't pick up at least a point out of this game against Southampton. Calvin Phillips with an early free kick. That would have been the perfect way to start to go and get a goal here at Portman Road. We did have a decent amount of possession to start with, but again it's reversed to type whereby Southampton have had a lot of the ball. Look at that. We just don't seem to be having any consistency in possession at all. And I do really wonder, not make an excuse, it's difficult enough for any promoted team, but I do wonder whether in FM24 that these players are a little bit underrated for what they should be, and as such we are really struggling in the Premier League as a result. But Ben Johnson, a little bit closer again, and it would have been a goal. But although we've not had a lot of the ball, positive signs, we've had 2 attacking highlights. Is this a third? Broadhead with the shot on target, forces Pazunu into a save, and it feels like we are up for this against Southampton. I'm going to take a risk here and change our balanced mentality to a positive one. We've not had a lot of the ball, I understand that, but we need to make something happen early here. We can't concede first. We really can't do that. And it seems when we do start to come out, particularly against Brighton in those 2 games, we have had a little bit of luck go our way. And equally, we can't rely on other teams. We're only 7 games into the league, and we're almost starting to rely on other teams to get results, and, well, not get results rather, and Leicester are beating Liverpool. That's going to help them out, and I'll tell you something, we are making a decent game of it here against Southampton. Phillips with the ball into Wolfenden, Jack Taylor scores! Is that going to be ruled offside, or is it in? It is! Yes! We're 1-0 up against Southampton. Get in! Are we finally going to get our first win of the Premier League campaign? I don't care when it comes, but it's almost coming at the wrong time, because we're going into a horrible run of games, 4 of the next 5 games against some of the Premier League giants, but we have moved up to 18th for the moment, and we're 1-0 up here at Portman Road. Had by far the better of the game. Not had a lot of possession, but 43%, probably our top amount of possession so far. I'm going to say to the players, carry on going as you are, because Southampton haven't had an attacking highlight yet. I think it might be beneficial just to play balance for 10 minutes, just to make sure that Southampton don't have a sniff really in this first hour of the game here at Portman Road. Okay, we're an hour in, and that's normally the time when I'd make any changes. Broadhead's looking a little bit tired, but we'll give it another 5 or 10 minutes, see what happens. And again, we haven't had many highlights, which indicates that Southampton aren't doing a lot here. Are we finally going to see a change of the tide? Leicester have conceded 3 goals, so no panic about them there. It is the 70th minute. We're going to start to make some changes. Broadhead is tired, so we're going to bring Marcus Harness on for him. Schmodics is having a good game, but we don't want to risk him getting another injury, so we're going to bring Luongo on for him, change the players around. Calvin Phillips becomes that box-to-box midfielder. We're going to leave it like that for the moment. I think we'll just stay with this balanced style of play. It seems to be suiting us well. To be blunt, I'm quite happy if there's no more highlights. And I've said that exactly at the wrong time. I'm not going to mention any Southampton player because I mentioned Ward-Prowse before the game, and he had a brilliant game as you saw, and then went and scored the 4th for West Ham, just to put really nutcracker on it, to be quite honest. 13 minutes to go here, and that was an attacking highlight for Southampton, but they didn't really make too much out of that. I don't know whether to go a bit more defensive, but I don't want to lure pressure onto our goal. What we've done so far seems to be working for us, so I'm not going to change that particularly. I'm going to bring Chaplin on for George Hurst. And that's probably the only change I'm going to make. The defence have played well. I don't want to rock the boat particularly in defence. If we can get a second though, that takes a hell of a lot of pressure off us. So can we make it happen? Townsend to Harness. Townsend back to Harness. Harness into the area. Connor Chaplin, he makes the keeper save it. But we have had a far better game than what we have had in any game in this Premier League season so far. Win and a clean sheet, that is all you can ask for. And particularly, to be fair, Southampton have started quite well. So it's not like you can say, well, Southampton, another promoted team, it's an easy win. Southampton have started well in this Premier League season. Better than a lot of other sides that are in that top of the bottom half of the Premier League. There's a couple of minutes to go here at Portman Road. We are going to sit back a bit now. I think that's sensible. Albeit, no, I don't know why I've changed. I even kept that formation because it's not going to work for us. Slow the pace down. Hold our shape when we win possession and keep it like that. It would be heartbreaking to lose this win now, but with a couple of minutes to go, I think we're going to do it. Oh, we have. Getting it. Wasn't the most fantastic a game. It wasn't that exciting. I can only apologise for that. But I don't really care because we've got our first win in the Premier League campaign. We have made sure that Southampton, although they had a lot of the ball, they committed a lot of fouls, got frustrated in the match, and our XG was far higher than Southampton. If you look at the two halves, the second half was far more even. You can see in that first half it was a lot more blue, but equally we did very well in that second half. Our average rating was actually higher in that second half. High intensity sprints pretty much equal. But one of the big things, and I'm going to take responsibility for this as a manager, Jack Taylor was the man of the match, obviously helped by the fact he scored a goal, but bringing him in for Sam Morse is seen to make a massive difference. Sam Schmodix had a good game on his return. The defence all played well, so props to them. And we have got our first win of the Premier League season. Hopefully that is going to provide a bit of a springboard for us to progress up the table. It's not going to happen quickly. Of course it's not going to happen quickly because we've got a terrible run of games coming. But look at that now. Look how much more comfortable that makes things. Palace lost today. Southampton lost to us. Leicester lost today. Wolves and Forest are still to play. We'll see who those teams have got before we bid farewell for this episode. But it just shows that 3 points is massive for us. It really is. We've ended our seven-match winless run. First clean sheet of the season as well. That's massive for us. Forest have got Tottenham, so you definitely can't see them getting anything out of that match. And Wolves have got Chelsea, so maybe they might get something out of that. But who knows. But we've got our first win of the Premier League season. I'm not going to show you any of the next 3 games because I have a feeling that we could get battered. But who knows? We kept the arrears to only 1-0 against Manchester City. So we might nick a draw in there, which would be fantastic. I'm going to come back for a triple header in November, and that is Everton at home at Portman Road. I'll probably show highlights of the Liverpool game. Again, it's not what I'm that bothered about showing, but the game after that, 2 matches at Portman Road. It's Everton and then Leicester at Portman Road. If we can get 2 wins out of those matches, then what are we looking at? So that's 6 matches, another 6 points. 10 points out of 14 games, maybe squeeze a draw. 11 points after 14 games. And yeah, it's not looking terrible for us. Again, Southampton was the first team that we came up with. We earmarked that game, the game against Forest. Okay, Brentford hasn't worked out for us, but Everton and Leicester again are games we've earmarked to do well in. And December looks a month where our fortunes might change a bit. We've had a bit of a tough start to the Premier League season, particularly with how we've drawn all the top teams at once, which seems to happen in Football Manager. But we've got home ties against Leicester, a home time against Bournemouth. We're going away to Sellers Park, the Molineux. There are plenty of chances to get something in December, but for all that, we're going to have to probably take our medicine again and get battered by some of these massive teams in the Premier League. But that is positive. The reality has set in of what we've got to do, but at least we are still in touch. Surely for that first win of our Premier League campaign, that deserves a like down below. It wasn't glamorous, but a win is a win. The only stat that matters is the result and the fact that we got 3 points. Thank you for your company today. I hope you've enjoyed. If you did enjoy the video, leave a like. It always helps our video go far in the algorithm, and I always appreciate your support. And until the next time, thank you for your company, and I'll see you guys in the next episode coming out in a few days. Goodbye for now.